Okay. This is a phone call I got from my father today. I don't know if you can hear though. He's listening to Donald Trump. And for some reason, he leaves it playing before he actually says anything. I think he did this on purpose. It's almost like a subtle threat. I signed an executive order. That's Donald Trump. And then he says, phone home. That's his subtle threat from him. That's his way of playing these little games he plays with me. And I'm like, I don't need it. And then when I called him up and I had it on speakerphone, he pretends like he can't hear me as though I'm underwater. And then I have to call him back and talk to him like this. Because I was actually trying to record the conversation. Then I realized, okay, is my mom alive? Because the way he did it, I thought, is my mom dead? What are they doing? I can't stand him. I can't stand either one of my parents. I really can't. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't want to be liked. Not if I have to not if I have to be a Republican, not if I have to be a MAGA. Not if you got not if I have to bow to men who want to insult me online and say, "Oh, well, I'm right, you're wrong, Laura. You need to apologize." And even when I know I'm right, and thinking, I know I'm right. My father used to say nobody likes a smart A, and I was always a smart A growing up, even though I was shy, insecure. I'm inconsistent because I just want to do what I want to do, or I get inspired. I'm so much the artist in that respect. I follow what's in here, even though I think with this. And people don't get. I mean, we have a tendency so much to simplify things. Even mental health, we simplify it too much. You know the whole autism thing. All right, that bothers me because there is no medical test for autism. You guys could label me autistic simply because I refuse to leave my apartment half the time now because I've been traumatized so much because I want to be with the actors. I was, for the first time in my life, actually wearing makeup, dressing up, and looking nice. And now I don't just want to hang out in pajamas and don't want to leave my room at all, ever, because I feel like crap about myself. I don't like me. I don't think I look good anymore. I don't care about looking good anymore because I don't want to attract a man. I don't. I mean, I had someone attacking me for years saying I was going to end up a woman with cats. And the reality is, it was attacking me because I wasn't going to go date someone and get married. I wanted an acting career. That's exactly why they blacklisted me from the industry, because I wanted an acting career more than I wanted a husband. And wonderful lawyers of SAG-AFTRA who pretend to be so liberal, you fell for it. Ned Vaughn and Ken Howard, who were the guys who were running SAG-AFTRA when this all mess happened. Consuelo Flores, newsflash for you. I am not my father. I don't want him in my life. I do not want to get married to someone like him. I do not like men who wear suits. I had suits and I had a collection of suits because I had to work in suits, wear suits. I did not own a suit until I went to law school. All the suits that I had, I bought when I was my first year of law school because I actually had a job where I was getting paid well and I needed to buy suits in order to be able to basically get through. And ironically, the suits that I selected to wear were not your traditional like black, white, gray. I wore like pink and red and bright blue and purple and seafoam green. And I like used to work at a retail store, Paul Harris, I think, and I had all these like uh, Jones of New York, I think was the brand. All these pretty like feminine suits that company would make that I liked, that I preferred over the traditional like black, gray, white, brown, white, like stark. Like I didn't dress like a traditional attorney, which actually was kind of perfect because when I worked on Eli Stone was set in San Francisco. So because it was set in San Francisco, they wanted suits that were not traditional earth tone colors. They were perfectly fine. There was one day though when they put me in an outfit and realized the lead actress was in the same color, and so they couldn't use me and they had to switch me out into a different outfit. That was funny. They put me in this bright orange suit and then they looked at me and then they looked at the lead actress and we were both wearing the same color and we're like, you're like, oh, we messed up. I'm like, so they had to take me back to wardrobe and change me. It was kind of funny, which, that happens. But I guess it was like one of those situations where it's like everyone in the office gets to wear wearing the same color. And then the problem is you don't do that when the principal actress who's the star of the show is wearing a bright orange suit. You don't dress someone else who's not like the lead of the show in the same color. That's a no-no. Just a little television, TV idea news, I guess. The woman who was wearing orange is actually oh, she's blonde, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous actually. She looks as good in person as she does on tape, and she was in Eli Stone, and she played Sam Yeager's why can't I remember her, I can remember his name and not her name. But she's one of the things that I knew her for was for this horror film where she played this alien. Like she was a beautiful woman who turned into this alien, or she was part alien. Cause yeah, I'm kind of into the sci-fi genre, so that's how I knew her work from. Anyways, I'm digressing. I'm too tired. I mean, I don't want, I'm, no matter how much my father may threaten me or know how much people threaten me, I wanted acting. I think I think someone got to Helena D. I don't know if someone in my family contacted her. She kept hanging out with these people who were like science types. And I just felt like one of them said something about schizophrenia. And I'm thinking, you're an intelligent man trying to indicate that I'm a schizophrenic when I'm a woman who would not go out with someone like you or date you or something. It was really just strange. The vibe I felt. And I'm kind of glad I'm not hanging out with her anymore, because I just felt like there was something weird going on with some of the people she was hanging out with. Like she kept wanting me to go up to this game place and hang out with these game people, and I didn't have the money to go. Like it was going to cost me a couple of dollars only, but every penny counted. I'm sorry, Helene. I feel betrayed by you in the comments you made. You might call me rude, but telling me I could live off my father when I needed freedom. Oh, let me guess, because you made it as a celebrity and I'm never going to. I don't need that. And I don't do clowning, and I don't want to work with kids. So we were two different people, two different styles of acting. I'm sorry I'm being mean to her. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that she brought the side out of me, actually. Bringing up my father, acting like I want that man in my life. That's not liberal. That's not democratic. That's abusive. I mean, it is to me. If you're the kind of person who wants to I don't want my parents' money. I want to be out of their life, but I don't want to trade my parents' money for a man with money who owns me. I wanted freedom. I desperately needed freedom. And I was trying to build a business by creating stuff online and being an intellectual, because that's what I am. Only to be attacked repeatedly by people who didn't seem to comprehend the fact that what they were doing by trying to ruin my reputation as an intelligent person who actually has ideas to share and might actually help other people with my ideas. It ended up being that I couldn't do anything but be frozen in time. My mental health was put in jeopardy because of that. Like, I actually need to be able to reach out to people this way, because I can't reach out to people the way normal people would. And maybe that is a sign that I'm some sort of autistic person. But what really scares me is the fact that people who are intellectual, people who are very smart, people who are very talented, may be labeled autistic to be shut away by the current administration because they're not producing something in a factory, because they're not generating money in a way that doesn't, like if I'm generating income by trying to get people to actually think for themselves versus following the cult of the current administration, then then we need to shut that down and stop it. I'm not even sure if you guys are even, if I would not be surprised if the government wouldn't stop me from being able to be seen simply because I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like even saying his name. I won't even write his name. I call him 47. He was 45. What was he? 40s? 45? And now he's 47. I even forgot what his first number was. I wanted to forget about him. I wanted to act like he never existed. I wanted it to go away. I wanted peace and love in the world. I had ideas for stories I wanted to tell. I want to read a book. It's weird. I'm reading like 5 books at the same time. I am. I just finished reading the Book of Tea, which I'm going to write something about because I really like it. It's a book from 1905, and there were some interesting things I found. The book is so full. It's a little, well, I'll write about it, tell you later. But I'm like reading 5 books at the same time because I feel like I need to expand my brain. Like, in school, if I had homework, I had to read multiple books for multiple subjects. So it makes sense that I would read multiple books. Plus, I keep running out of time because I'm not reading your standard like little books. I'm reading books that are like 1,000 pages. Like I'm reading The Eye of the World, which is the first book in the Wheel of Time. I'm reading this To Sleep in the Sea of Stars, which is 1,600 pages. Like I have to read 20 pages just to get 1% of this book read or something crazy like that. I keep thinking, because with other books, I'm like, I do percentages because the books, because I'm recording my reading in like a different apps, and page numbers, they vary depending on the edition of the book or depending on the app I use. So I just decided to use percentages to keep track. And unfortunately though, it's like I realized with The Sleep in the Sea of the Stars, I have to read a chapter to get to 1% of the book. I'm also reading this book by Charlotte E. English, this set of books actually called the Draken series. And I'm on the first one, which I've read before. I started reading and thinking, I've read this before. I know I've read this before. And I looked, I said, oh, yeah, I did. But I never got around to reading the other books in the series. I only read the first one. And even if I did, according to my records, I didn't read the other books in the series. But I'm like, you know what? I want to read them now because I feel like losing myself in a fantasy book. And it's a book about this crazy world where some people have wings, some people don't. There's like some people live in complete darkness, some people live in complete light. It's like really kind of interesting. And then there's this lower world where there's all these monsters and weird stuff that happens. And it's like this other dimension. And it's just really kind of cool that this person's created this like fantasy world that doesn't exist, that that kind of breaks the laws of physics in weird kind of ways. It's like they're not vampires, but they're light-skinned people who can't really see because they spend their entire lives in the dark. And then there's these very dark-skinned people who live entirely in the light, or they're you can tell where somebody's from. And it's kind of, I guess, on the idea of like that people in Africa who became black and people who live closer to the North Pole were white. There's no real signs of racism in this, but there's like this, at least I haven't gotten that part yet. I remember there was some sort of like weird thing where it was like there's a little bit of discriminatory stuff, but it's more about greed. It's more about like avarice and greed, and it that deals with these that I haven't been what I remember of what I read the book originally since I'm rereading it. It's about this stone called the Eye Store, which is this precious indigo looking rock that someone found, and it has some sort of power, and it's all this about like people are killing people for it. And so it's all really, the whole theme of the thing is like how far will people take it for greed. And it's not even greed based on cash, it's greed on something that's based on something very ephemeral, or very like you can't really touch it. It's just this sense that if you have this thing, it gives you like a euphoria. It's almost like a drug addiction, actually. It's like a combination of, it's like taking the ideas of drug addiction and mental health and putting it into a story about a jeweler who has wings, who makes who's like a mix of two different groups, because like his father doesn't have wings, his mother does, her mother does. So she's like in between the two worlds as it is, and then making and being this girl who's like full of anxiety and this whole power structure. And a lot of the characters are female. So I just gave you a little review of one of the books I read before and I'm reading, called the Dracon, Draykon series, just my escapism. And then I was also reading, like, I'm also got on my list of books to read, books about like The Librarian, which is on my list of to read, but I'm putting it off until I finish at least a couple of books I've already started. Because I've got like most of these books I'm reading, like a lot of the books I just said I'm reading, I'm like 40%. I'm 40% through two of them, 9% through one. Oh yeah, and I just got Hellbent, which I think I started reading, which I haven't started reading, but I read the first book in the series, I call it The Noble House. She's the Leigh Bardugo, who wrote the Shadow and Bone series. I have read everything I get my hands on by her, and I think that this is the last one I have to read by her that I haven't read. There may be a few other obscure ones of hers I haven't read. I've read all like the Book of Saints and stuff like that. I loved her stuff. It's a fantasy world set in Yale University. Sort of like Skull and Bones kind of. Actually, Skull and Bones is part of it. It's like this idea that there's the different houses or colleges at Yale are basically secret magic groups, and there's good and evil. And the lead character in this is this person who's actually supposed to who's like an overseer of the different houses, and there's something really bad going on, and she's trying to figure out what that bad thing is. And in this case, this guy that was her advisor has disappeared, and they're trying, potentially he's in hell, and they're trying to get him out. That's why it's called Hellbent. Yeah, that's my life in books right now. I like to read. I like to grow. I like to expand, and I have no problem with fantasy. And it's not about escapism. It's about expanding the mind, because science fiction eventually becomes fact. Lasers were talked, and going to the moon were fiction before they were fact. And we did go to the moon. We did develop lasers. The Holocaust did happen, and stop rewriting our history. Because even though I'm talking about fantasy right now, I'm Walter Mitty. Walter Mitty saw reality. He liked fantasy and fiction. He liked living in that world, but he was very much aware of seeing cruelty for what it was and evil for what it was. Mind your nose, mind your brain, mind your instincts. Wake up. Or I had a page on Pinterest called Be Aware. Be aware of what's going on. I am so tired of the games with my dad. I was free of him. Lee Ryder, Michael Laverne, who's dead, apparently. I was working on sets, making a living, and I don't want to like lawyers. I don't want to date lawyers. I don't want to date real estate agents. I don't want to hang out with real people. I think, part of this, the industry is fighting to stay in Los Angeles, while there's other people in Los Angeles who hate the industry for acting egotistical, blocking traffic, doing all this stuff. And I understand that, but it's one of the reasons why I've had hate onto me, because I'm supposed to want to date someone who's like got a regular job here in Los Angeles, but I came to Los Angeles for the acting. I've had crew people hate on me because I'm not interested in dating them. There's this weird psychology where crew people will hate women working on sets because the women who are working on sets are more interested in the actors who are working on the set who are male than they are the crew people who are male. And I read an article somewhere about this like weird problem. And it's like the men will treat the women badly, and even to the point of costing them their jobs just because they're more. But the thing is, I wasn't interested in anyone in particular because I wanted my own money. I wanted to be doing acting. I don't want to, be taken advantage of by an actor either, So it's like, I just wanted to be able to work. And now, since I can't have children, I'd rather just be alone. I'm perfectly fine. I want a dog, by the way. I'm allergic to cats. And someone saying I needed self-love. What makes me want to love myself is the idea that I might be cast in something. Otherwise, I got no reason whatsoever to want to look good or take care of me. And some guy with a regular job. I think Murphy Brown. One of my uncles used to call me Murphy Brown. I think Murphy Brown was really I thought, a very strong feminist television show. But now I'm realizing, why did they pair her up with a guy who was a janitor? Is that really respecting Murphy Brown? She was too strong of a woman to have a man who was just as strong and just as smart? Or was it basically telling the men of the world who are not so smart, not educated, they could get a smart woman to take care of them, and a smart woman, when in actuality, I don't want a man who isn't as smart as I am, or at least as creative, and he has to have a heart. And there are too many men in this country who don't have any respect whatsoever. I don't need toxic. I never needed toxic. I would rather be alone than be with toxic. Peace out. This is too long, but I ramble. But I don't. I'm hoping that there's something in here that'll help somebody somewhere. Or at least I've gotten it off my chest. This is my version of therapy. I don't want to talk to a therapist. I'd rather tell you guys something out there that maybe help you. I don't share my feelings often. I don't share my real feelings often. because it's very complex for me. I live in a sea of emotions and a sea of thoughts and a sea of feelings, and there's no two dimensions about it. None. I actually want to get back to being a three-dimensional person with a lot going on in my head.